if someone said, what does it mean to trust and follow Jesus? That's the question that you and I talked about is if someone says, what does it mean for me in my everyday life, in the going about with my family and work, what does it mean for me to trust and follow Jesus? We went back and forth on this one of how to actually break it down because those words are used so much. And I want to, push back on me here if you think I'm missing anything. But the reason that I really like this idea of this question of trust and follow is that trust, for me, ultimately is a mental assent, a mental agreement of believing a truth claim, believing something to be true. And so when we look at Jesus, do I trust that Jesus is who he says he was? Do I believe that he did what he said he did or what Scripture says he's done?
Right.
Do I hold those things to be true? And then secondly is, if all of those things are true, if I believe those, hold to them, then am I willing to follow in the ways and the life that he taught? And so I actually really love that verbiage because it challenges different parts of me, the parts of me that need to understand, to believe what Scripture has said about who Jesus is, but then to actually, when I go to that Scripture, to look at when Jesus said, follow me, and you see the disciples follow him and follow his way of life, his attitude, his action and behaviors, and to be challenged by those each and every day in every environment I go in. How do I look and say, what does it look like in this environment for me to follow the ways of Jesus? So when you think about that, trusting and following Jesus, you're talking. You work with small group leaders, people in small groups. You've done a lot of ministry. How do you encourage somebody out there who's just, not in ministry? They're working at 9 to 5 and they got a family and the whole thing. How do they trust and follow Jesus on a daily basis?
I think what you said is excellent. You trust and believe that Jesus is who he said he was, and then you look at his word, and where that follow part comes in, that's talking about being a disciple of Jesus. Mm-hmm. It's talking about understanding what it means to walk this thing out, and you have to know the word, read the word, hear the word. And where do you get that? Well, you can do it personally. You can do it by yourself. Obviously, you can read a Bible. There's Bibles at Walmart. You can get a Bible. There's free apps. Read the word. But then, not just in isolation, to follow Jesus, I think also translates, you need to be in a community of believers.